Let's assume that you have written a simple hello world program, public class hello world, and here you have a main method, public static void main string args. Okay, now here this is basically a class name, right? And it can be anything. This is also a method name. You can have other methods also here. This is the array name. You can have any other name here. So these names are actually called as the identifiers. Getting my point? Any name in Java is called as identifiers, which can change. Okay, for example, if you declare a number, let's say int number 1, int number 2, okay, and you have given some value to it, 10, 20. Now how do you identify this value? You will be identifying this value by what? By this name only, is not it? Similarly, let's say you have string class, string str equal to hello, string str2 is equal to programmers. Okay, now I want to use this hello. So if you want to use this hello, you have to use str. If you want to use this programmer, you have to say str2. Let's say you want to print hello, so sysout, I mean to say system.out.println, and here what you will be writing? Str. Okay, so this str is basically an identifier. This str2 is basically an identifier. Getting my point? So there are some rules while defining these identifiers. Okay, what is the rule? Let's talk about that. Rules while defining identifiers. Rule number 1, the allowed characters are A to Z, A to Z, okay, 0 to 9, underscore, dollar. While defining a class name, while defining a variable name, while defining a function name, and so on, you are supposed to use only these characters. Is that clear? Let's do it practically. I'll just say new text document, identifier dot java, test dot java. Public class identifier test, public static void main, string args. let's say int number 1 equal to 10. This is valid. Sorry, it has to be number. Okay, string user underscore name is equal to Suraj. This is valid. Okay, string dollar underscore phone is equal to string, right? So I'll say +91 903241 2236. This is valid. Okay, string from address is equal to where are you from. Okay, I am from Orissa, let's say. This is not valid. Reason is you can use numbers but it cannot start with number. Okay, whenever you define any variable or whenever you use any name, you can have digits but it should not start with digit. Next, string dollar equal to testing. This should be valid. Okay, so let's compile and see what is happening here. Copy this, command prompt cd okay, now you say java c start.java. Yeah, so as I told you, this is not valid. Okay, the identifier can have numbers, no problem, but it should not start with number. I'll just comment this out. Java C okay, compiled successfully, right? It has compiled successfully. That means whatever we have written here, all these are valid. Getting my point? Now what I'll do is I'll copy this Java code, I'll paste it here. Okay, let me rename it. Okay, see the name underscore dollar underscore dollar. This is my class name. So what do you say? Will this program compile successfully? Other folks? Okay, so the first rule is this is an identifier, right? an identifier can start with underscore. Okay, can have dollar. Can start with underscore, can have dollar. Okay, so I believe there should not be any problem while compiling this class. The class got compiled and you got a .class file, right? Now to execute this program, what are you going to write? You are going to write java space underscore dollar underscore dollar. They are the conventions, they are the standards, they are not the rules. Rules should be followed, conventions should be rules have to be followed. Rules are, rules must be followed, but the conventions, okay, and the standards, people may follow, people may not follow. If people follow, they are called as good programmers. If people do not follow, they are called as bad programmers. Okay, so the allowed characters are this. Second rule, the identifier should not start with digit. Okay, the identifier, whatever you define, that should not start with a digit. That can start with any characters, that can start with underscore, that can start with dollar, but that should not start with a digit. String from address equal to not valid. Okay, that means whenever you define any variable, whenever you define any integer or boolean, any variable, or whenever you write any class name, make sure that the class name does not start with a digit. Next is the identifiers are case sensitive. Okay, what do you mean by that? So here I have wrote username equal to Suraj. Let me do one thing. I'll close this. I'll close this as well. Identifier test. Let me open with Notepad++. Okay, so here let me print system.out.println user underscore name. Okay, so can I write Okay, see here, I have defined one user underscore name as Suraj. I have defined another username as Mahesh, and there's no difference between these two, correct? So you cannot do this, but if you change this to capital, okay, now this will be treated differently, this would be treated differently, and this would be treated differently. And when you try to print username, the small username will be displayed. Getting my point? So what I mean to say is the identifiers are case sensitive. Okay, that means this username and this usernames are completely different. Java C compiled. Now you want to execute that. Java, okay, I got this output. Similarly, if I change it to capital U, I got Mahesh. Okay, so looks like two variables are same. Looks like two variables are same, but they are different in case. This is in lower case, this is in upper case, and these two will be treated differently by the Java. Okay, even this rule is same in case of C also, I believe. Okay, next rule. Next rule. There is no restrictions on the length, but recommended is below 15. What I mean to say is whenever you are defining any identifier, okay, like the length of this identifier could go anywhere, but it is always recommended to keep it very short and precise but meaningful. Got my got my point? So if I want to declare something like string name of cancer treatment hospital in Bangalore city. Okay, see this. This is an identifier actually. Okay, this is an identifier actually, and I'm trying to give a meaningful name to it. Okay, but the length of this would be 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14 15 16 17 18 19 20 21, so around 40, let's say around 40. Okay, so it's fine, you can give it, but always try to give it a meaningful name and try to keep it as short as possible and try to keep it under 15 or 20. Okay, this is the recommendation. But if you see that no, I cannot make it very short, then you go ahead and make it little larger, but always try to keep it short as you can. Okay, now you should not write something like this: string NOCTHIBC. Do you understand what I did here? What I did is I just took the first character of each word. Name of cancer treatment hospital in Bangalore city. You should not do this. Okay, don't do this, because when your code is very large and later you will not understand what is the meaning of this. Okay, so if you're looking for a little shorter name, what do you do? String cancer treatment hospital name okay, so you can write something like this, that's fine. Okay, so this identifier and this identifier, they talk about the same thing: cancer treatment hospital name in Bangalore. Next, point number 5, reserved keywords cannot be used as an identifier. Okay, for example, int num1 equal to 10. Okay, so this is valid or not, everyone? This is valid. You can define a data type integer num equal to 10. Okay, now can you tell me any reserved keywords in Java? In the previous session we have already discussed them. Any other reserved keyword in Java? Okay, static is a keyword. String is a class, Krishna. We cannot consider it as a reserved keyword. Okay, this is basically a class. It does not fall under that category. Okay, so we have static. So can I write something like this? Int static is equal to 10, or let's say 20. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to define one variable called static. Okay, I'm trying to define one variable called static. Int static equal to 20. If you consider this line, okay, don't you think I'm trying to use this static as an identifier? Okay, and unfortunately this is also a reserved keyword. So let's see what happens. One minute. Java C identifier test. Okay, let me just execute. Okay, I have not saved it. That's what I was just thinking. How is it compiling? Alright, so see here, int static equal to 20. So it is saying not a statement. We did not understand anything. But if I change it to static 1, okay, now is this a keyword anymore? Is this a reserved keyword anymore? No. Right? And if you say SOP, you'll get the output. Saved, compile, right? I got the output, and this is no more a keyword. What I'll do is S capital. Is this a keyword now? Okay, so let's see that. Here, this is a mistake. I have to change it. No worries. Okay, I need to compile it. Oh yeah. Okay, now you say identifier. We got the output. So are you understanding my concept? Like, I'm just trying to explain you that the identifier cannot be a reserved keyword. However, if you change the case, then it is altogether different. This static is a keyword, whereas this static is not, right? Okay, next, all predefined classes and interfaces in Java are not keywords, and you can use them as identifier, but not recommended at all. So can you tell me any class name in Java? Any class name in Java? Yeah, string is a class. Okay, so basically here you see we always used to say string, and this string is not a keyword. So can I write something like this? Int string equal to 10. Can I write something like this in my code? There is also a class called object. So string object is equal to 20. Int string equal to 30. Object equal to 40. Okay, let's compile this. Compile, and if it is compiling, that means you are allowed to do this. Okay, so this string is a class name. This string is a class name. Okay, it is not a reserved keyword, therefore you can use it, but it is not at all recommended. Okay, because somewhere when you try to access that string, don't you think this is looking very bad? I'm trying to print some string, and what is this string? It is actually an identifier. Here we have used it as an identifier. Okay, and it looks very bad. This looks very bad, this also looks very bad, even though you have given it in uppercase. Okay, this also looks very bad, therefore you should avoid all this. Got my point? Okay, now let's do some exercise. So one exercise. Okay, tell me which one of these are valid and which one of these are not. Number one, int care for all, valid or not valid? Yeah, it has been recorded. Okay, next let's say int forever friends. Okay, next hospitals at Hyderabad, valid or not valid? Any reason when you say invalid? Okay, cannot have. Next, total number of students. Next, int dollar underscore dollar dollar. Valid? Okay, next int dollar 123. Next, int invalid. int Okay, so whatever is invalid I have commented, rest all are valid. Okay, few people call it just keywords, few people call it reserved keywords. Okay, now let's talk about data types.